Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So last video we did what is the best case scenario for Republicans in the 2024 presidential election, mainly with Donald Trump as the nominee and Joe Biden as the Democrat nominee. And I think this video, because so many people have requested in the comment section, because I asked in the video if people wanted to see a worst case scenario, a lot of people agreed that I should do a worst case scenario. What is the doomsday scenario? Not saying this is going to happen, but what is the worst realistic scenario? Obviously, technically, we could put every state red or every state blue, depending on a best case, worst case basis. But what is the most realistic bad case scenario for Trump and the Republicans? Because so many people say, oh, he's going to lose Texas, he's going to lose South Carolina, Alaska, Kansas, because a lot of people are just dumb and they're blinded by their hatred from Donald Trump. Although it is true that the 2024 election is not going to be a slam dunk for Republicans, regardless of whoever the nominee is. If Ron DeSantis gets the nomination, which I don't really view to be realistic at this point, I don't see him winning the election if he's going to have a massively divided party, a lot of angry people, especially in these states like Wisconsin and Pennsylvania that he needs to win the election. If you have a very angry Trump base in those states that'll stay home, Trump's not even guaranteed to win those states. How do you think Ron DeSantis exactly is going to do? Not enough of these so-called swing receptive independents there. But I'm going to do this with Trump as the nominee. With DeSantis as the nominee, in some scenario where he gets it, has a very divided party, he could actually end up doing worse than this, but still, that would be a worst case scenario overall electorally speaking. As of right now, we're going to stick with Trump and Biden, fill out this map, every state, and see what is the floor, because we just did the ceiling. What is the floor for the Republican Party in the 2024 presidential election? But first, would not be a complete video at the beginning of the month if I did not tell you guys about our very good friends over at Noble Gold, because the US dollar has lost 85% of its value since the 70s when the dollar decoupled from gold, and the government seems hell-bent on continuing that tradition. From now until after the next election, the government can print as much money as they want. The last time they did that, inflation went up by 9%, and gold's the one asset that has proven to withstand inflation. Invest in gold with Noble Gold Investments. You will also get a 24-karat quarter-ounce gold standard coin for free. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com right now, noblegoldinvestments.com, the only gold company that I trust. So, without further ado, let's fill out this map. We're going to fill out the safe red states that, regardless of whatever happens, are going to be in the safe Republican column. North Dakota, South Dakota, we could put Montana, Missouri. A lot of the deep South will indeed go in this category also. Most of Nebraska will also go in this category in the worst case scenario. I think that this is, I guess we'll throw Indiana in there as well. And then on the Democrat side, we'll give the Democrats the safe blue states, pretty much all the states they won by safe margins in the year of 2020, including Maine at large. We could put that one in the safe blue column there. Colorado, New Mexico, Hawaii. So Democrats are nearing a floor of 210 electoral votes or so. Republicans are still going to get probably above 100, 200 electoral votes anyways in a worst case scenario, just given certain trends in certain states that they for sure are pretty much going to win. But that's really beside the point. Oklahoma, can't forget about Oklahoma. And even like South Carolina, we could say maybe likely, Alaska likely, where they have a weird electoral system. Personally, I think South Carolina is going to go safe red at the end of the day, but this is the worst case scenario, so we're going to honor the title of the video. I also think Iowa and Ohio will still be likely red states at the end of the day regardless. The state parties in those states tend to be competent, and Trump is still relatively popular. He should win those no problem. Same thing with Maine's 2nd district. He should win that by a likely margin. Nebraska's 1st we could put as, I mean, even then we could probably push that out to safe. But the 2nd district will be likely Democrat, especially because they didn't redistrict it as Republican favorable as they could have. They possibly could have just got that as an extra electoral vote for Republicans, but Republicans in the state were just so weak, and as a result, look what happened there. So the state of Kansas, even then, Trump won this state by 14, and it has moved to the left significantly compared to even the national environment in 2020. And I can't see Biden winning that popular vote by any more than 5 or 6 points or so, which honestly, maybe we do put Kansas in the safe column. Maybe we do bump South Carolina up to that safe column as well, just because those rural areas will still come out for Trump in a worst case scenario. You're saying, oh, well, they don't ballot harvest. They don't do anything properly. They see the repeat of 2020 on many fronts, and then there's all these scandals that are manufactured, that are bogus, that are adding up against Trump, and somehow they hurt him, or somehow Biden's approval rating recovers. That's the worst case scenario, but still, because of polarization, Republicans are still going to have an outside shot at victory regardless in this election. So 177 electoral votes remaining on the board. I think we go and we fill out Minnesota, New Hampshire in the likely blue column. Minnesota is probably titanium, likely blue, likely close to safe in this scenario. New Hampshire, kind of the same thing going on there. If Biden wasn't an incumbent president, we could arguably move that to safe blue because they tend not to like incumbent presidents there. But furthermore, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 states remaining to fill out on this electoral map. We're going to start off with the state of Pennsylvania. So the rural still will come out heavily for Trump, even more, a lot more so actually than they came out for Republicans in the midterms, where you had very poor turnout in these places among the Trump base. Trump would still crater in places like the Philadelphia suburbs and really not pick up enough support in a worst case scenario, mainly because, again, if Republicans don't use the election system to their advantage, they're not able to do that. And the GOP with messaging, even outside of Trump, if they don't learn anything in any capacity, or maybe Trump capitulates to them in some degree down the stretch, then they're going to have a problem. And Pennsylvania, you're going to see that lean blue in that column. Michigan probably likely, because the state party there is extremely incompetent. So already in the doomsday scenario, you see Trump unable to flip the key states in the Rust Belt. And then Wisconsin is a more unique phenomenon. And honestly, Trump does bolster that driftless area turnout. And I think if the trends continue, it will be enough to give Wisconsin to the Republicans if Trump is at the top of the ticket for sure, especially compared to somebody weak and a bad campaigner and out of touch like Tim Michaels was in the governor's race. But still, probably move Wisconsin in the doomsday scenario to the, tilt to lean Democrat column. North Carolina, on the other hand, this is a state I expect Trump to win again. He won it by 1.4%. It voted to the right of the country by 6 percentage points or so. I would anticipate him to win it, but in the worst case scenario, it's possible that you could see Biden go out there and narrowly pick off the state depending on the different factors. Now, I don't believe it's going to happen. I think Trump's going to win Wisconsin. I think he's going to win North Carolina. I think, honestly, it's 50-50, if not even more than a 50% chance as of right now, that he goes out there and he wins in 2024. And if it wasn't for the midterms, I think a lot more people would say that chance would be even higher, but they fail to understand the true turnout mechanics that failed Republicans in the midterms, and as a result, they blame the prognosticators for that. And obviously, there were some missteps and things that a lot of people, regardless of what side of the Republican Party were on, did not really consider while going out there and making those midterm predictions. But still, nevertheless, North Carolina probably goes red at the end of the day, but for this prediction, we'll leave that one as tilt blue. Georgia, I think the floor would mean you bottom out in the suburbs and you just don't get the turnout necessary to overcome that. And that's kind of what Herschel Walker had to deal with in the runoff election. There's no runoffs for the presidential slot, obviously, but still, worst case scenario, Biden wins the popular vote by a similar margin, trends continue, and Georgia ends up going blue by a lean margin. Florida, I still have going Republican because the Republican Party of Florida is much, much stronger than the Democrat Party of Florida. It's not even close. And I have Florida going in the lean column as well. Probably be a similar margin to 2020 would be the worst case scenario. And then we have Texas, because a lot of people are going to say, well, Texas is going to flip. That's the doomsday scenario. I disagree. 2024, the math I don't think is there. A lot of people moving to the state. They're not voting overwhelmingly Democrat, though. They may be leaning a little bit more Dem in a place like Austin. A place like Houston might be leaning a little bit more to the right. And then in DFW, maybe to the left, but not like by a ridiculous amount. And obviously you have things like Hispanic trends in the southern part of the state and the rurals that are like, 80-20 for some reason keep getting redder and redder and redder. So honestly, even if you move the suburbs like in Dallas to the left by the rate they moved in the past election cycle or so to the left, it's still not enough to flip the state. However, if the state gets super close to the point where it's like a 2-point race or a 1 to 2-point race, that's going to sound the alarm for 2028, which would be doomsday enough on its own. But still, I do expect Republicans to win the state of Texas at the end of the day, regardless. Now, Arizona, on the other hand, that's going to be an uphill climb. Maricopa County's Maricopa County. I think you kind of can piece together what Republicans would really have to do in order to overcome that. And it really begs the question if Republicans in the state are going to be doing things like taking the election system and using it to their advantage the way Democrats do. But in this scenario, they're not doing that. In this scenario, the GOP is as incompetent as ever, which would mean that Trump probably loses the state by a couple of points or so. And as a result, it will not help him in the re-election bid. And that leaves the last state on this map that we have not filled out to be the state of Nevada. And this is a state that is trending right. It is moving right. Republicans were vastly outspent there in the midterms, dealt with a snowstorm up in Reno that really hurt their turnout. And as a result, they flipped the governorship there and came a few thousand votes away of flipping the Senate seat there, despite Adam Laxalt being severely outspent by Catherine Cortez Masto there. And I think that this state in a doomsday scenario goes Dem. I don't think it goes Dem by a ridiculous amount. I think it's probably going to go Dem by, you could say maybe 2 to 3 points again or so. But that's pretty much it for the doomsday scenario. I mean, this would basically be 2020, but you lose North Carolina. So anyone saying, oh, well, if we nominate Trump, we're going to lose like a 400 electoral vote landslide. No, that's not how it works. That's dumb. And these people are just trying to scare people into voting for somebody in a primary who's actually less electable under the guise of a lie that Donald Trump himself is unelectable. And like I said, he's not guaranteed victory. This is a plausible scenario, just like Trump winning with 320 electoral votes and having third parties help him, etc., is also a plausible scenario. I expect reality to lie within the middle. We're going to have to work for 2024. I'm not going to be overly optimistic. I'm also not going to be overly doomerish and pessimistic and say this is going to happen, but this is the worst case scenario. So I think it's fair that we showcase both sides and kind of show where we need to focus on and what we need to do in order to make sure this scenario never happens. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.